has been known to throw a chair during a reading before.
Once or twice.
Once or twice. Which makes the average author reading even more exciting. And Tommy B. Smith also is guilty of that. I don't know if he's here right now. But she is a fantastic author and editor and publisher, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome aboard Barbara B. Evers. Yeah, we have stairs.
Yeah, I might throw a chair, but I'm not going to try to step in it. There is still a chair up here. Whenever there's a chair around, it is a possibility. So, how many of you know the story of Throw the Chair? A few, only a few. I thought this was canon by now.
It is canon.
There's a lot of new faces.
There's a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
Okay, don't let me forget. I'll get to that at the end of what I've prepared to share with y'all. So as Stephen said, I'm Barbara B. Evers. First of all, thank you, Stephen and Holly, for asking me to do this. I told Stephen today, this was one of my goals ever since I started writing, to be a keynote. So they really made my day. We're talking bucket list, check. Got that one now. Yay! So, but anyway, when my Watchers of Mania series came out, it came out in like 3-4 months. Book 1, book 2, book 3. Now, what often happens is people see that a book's come out and they're thinking, oh, that just happened no time at all. She probably just wrote that last week. And I don't know if you've met these people, you know, someday I'm going to write a book, like it's just like that, and they're going to write it, and it's going to get published, and it's going to sell like everything, and people are going to just be groveling, and there's going to be a publishing to buy the rights to the book, and all that kind of stuff. That's the way people see it. And if you read enough of the publishing type magazines like Writer's Digest and Poets and Writers, you always see these stories about these young overnight successes. How many of you have seen those? Okay, they're disgusting, aren't they? They really are disgusting. So here's the thing. In 1990s is when I first got the idea for the Watches of Mania. Boy, my southern came out there. The idea for the Watches of Mania. And it's cliche, but it came in a dream. Now the books look nothing like that dream, but it was the seed that led to the books. I didn't start writing until 2001. And I was working on it and writing and working on it and writing and working on it and writing slowly, surely, a little bit here, a little bit there. And I was missing something that's essential. A writing tribe. Y'all know what I mean when I say a writing tribe? Okay. So I didn't have a writing tribe. And I knew I didn't have a writing tribe, and I wanted a writing tribe. And so in 2007, this is 6 years after I started writing the book, I had 50,000 words. It's an epic fantasy, so 50,000 definitely is not enough yet, right? And I saw an ad in Writer's Digest for a writing conference in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Because it was always they're in New York or they're in California, somewhere I could go to. And I said, I am going to this. And I looked, it was thrown by South Carolina Writers Workshop. They're now known as South Carolina Writers Association, but back then they were Workshop. And they had the conference, and I discovered, oh, they've got local chapters, and they meet twice a month, and they critique each other's work. So I signed up for the conference. I started going to the chapter meetings at 50,000 words. I submitted my first 50 pages for an agent critique, and the agent loved what I had to write. Of course, it wasn't a finished manuscript, so she wasn't going to offer me anything. And she said, oh, and by the way, I've decided not to be an agent anymore, I'm going to be an editor. Y'all, I was telling them this last night. I never had the guts to say this when I was querying, but she compared it to the Mist of Avalon. Marion Zimmer Bradley, love. You know, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't say that to anybody. I was kind of looking too high up in the clouds. I'll be happy with somebody just taking it on. And so the conference was in late October, and I started going to that writing group in September. By February of 2008, I had 103,000 words in a finished manuscript. So I continued to workshop it with my group, and I continued to refine it and to work through it, because y'all know that finished first draft ain't what you're going to be submitting. And eventually, I got to a point where I'm ready to query. And I queried, and I queried, and I queried. Next year ran around, and I did a 50-page critique at the conference, and the agent that looked at it said, "This is pretty good. I'm not taking anybody else right now, because I have a full load." Now, you know what? You don't want an agent to take you on if they've got a full load, so I respect that. She said, "Why don't you send it to so-and-so, and I'll tell them to look at it." Well, she failed to tell so-and-so to look at it, and I got it real quick. Nope. So I continued to query, and I continued to query, and I continued to query. Now, we come to 2014. Y'all putting the math together here? How long ago did I finish that book? 6 years. 6 years. 2014. I had an agent at the conference. "I love this. It makes me think of Dune, and Dune is my favorite book." I never read Dune. You know what I did? I went home and I read Dune. But she's like, "Send me some pages." So I sent it to her, and she read, and she looked at the synopsis, and she called me, and she actually wanted to talk to me so much. I hadn't responded. She emailed me, and for some reason it didn't show up in my inbox, and so she called me, as opposed to, "Well, Barbara doesn't care." She actually thought that much of it, and she goes, "I love this, but I think you have 2 books." She says, "There's this 3-year gap here. What happened in those 3 years?" I didn't know. But I had questioned myself over and over again. Okay, what does happen? Should I write those 3 years? What should I do? So she and I talked about it. We figured out where I should split the book. And I was gonna write in those 3 years, and I was gonna add to the second book. And I'll tell you now, she had not signed me, and typically I will tell you, if an agent says make a drastic change, and they're not giving you a contract, you shouldn't really do it. But she hit the nail on the head on what I had been asking myself. And I justified it by the fact that, well, I'll write this, and if it doesn't work, I'll have a novella to sell later when the books come out. Or I could do it as little short stories or something. So I did it. And I was all excited. I mean, I wrote like 40,000 more in the first book and 40,000 more in the second book. And I sent it to her, and she passed. Because of multiple point of view, which she knew was there when she saw it before. And then I learned the agents at that point didn't want epic fantasy, and definitely didn't want multiple point of view, because it was too complex to keep track of. So I kept querying, but I was getting a little weird. Plus I had agents saying, "Why do you have giraffes in this thing?" Yeah, if you haven't figured it out, I got drafts. I've got telepathic drafts in my books. I tell you what it is over there. But anyway, why do you have drafts in the things? Your book is never gonna sell. As well written as this is, your book is never gonna sell if you keep the giraffes in it. You know, when I won the second award, I came up and said, they said you couldn't write about giraffes in fantasy. The irony is they were asking for unique at the time. Everybody was saying, "I want something unique in fantasy, I want something unique." Well, I turned out to be a little too unique. That's okay, I'm okay being too unique. So, you know, we're up to 2014, 2015, still haven't gotten anything. I started writing something else. Because I figured, well, we'll shelve it. I knew it was a trilogy and there would be a 3rd book eventually, but why write the 3rd book when you're getting nowhere? So let's write something new. And believe it or not, in 2020, 12 years. 12 years, y'all. Over 50 rejections. In 2020, I went to a conference in March, right before everything shut down. And it was a writing conference, Saga in Charlotte. And it's, by the way, a very good conference. But I was just walking around and listening. I heard somebody go, "I'm going to pitch my book to that publisher over there." And she asked for pages. I wasn't even planning to pitch at this conference. publishers are here. There were 3. I pitched, all 3 asked for pages. Okay, now things are looking pretty good, right? Months went by, I heard nothing. And then one of them came back in July, I think it was. And he said, do you still have it available? I said, yeah. He said, I'd like to publish it. Now, he was a medium-sized press, so he tended to churn out books a little faster than a big traditional publisher. And he said, but I'm not gonna put it out unless I know you've got that 3rd book. So you need to write that 3rd book. I wrote it in 3 months, 116,000 words. Revised, developmental, edited, 4 months, I had it in his hands. My first book, my novel that I was trying to get out all these years, 12 years, came out in December of 2020. Now what was going on in December of 2020? Not really how I saw it going, but it came out, and he wanted to be able to put the whole series out there fast, so the 2nd book came out in, it was either late January or early February, and the 3rd book came out. And I asked him, I said, what do I do? What conferences do you suggest I go to? Because people who write in these genres go to all these conferences, and I knew Dragon Con, I knew Con Carolinas, but I really didn't know a lot of other cons out there. And so he goes, well, you need to get accustomed to cons first. I've been to Dragon Con a few times. I think I know how cons work. I've been to Con Carolinas a few times, but he kind of, just try something small. Do you remember what I said when I won the award for the first book? I won the Imagine Award for that first book. Yeah, I know. I just say that because I probably don't. But I got up there and I said, when my publisher said, just pick a few little ones. I went online because I wasn't going to listen to that, and I Googled fantasy cons near me. Imaginarium came up. And I pulled up the site. I said, oh my gosh, and they've got these awards. I submitted it. I was shocked when I got an email that told me I was a finalist. And then they told me I can't write about drafts, but it won Best Fantasy Novel. The next year, because that book came out in December, and the next one came out in January and February, The Watchers in Exile won Best Fantasy Novel in the Imaginarium. And the thing that killed me is the 3rd book came out the same year as the 2nd book. So I couldn't compete against myself. But I did enter it in the Palmetto Scribes novel contest. I was a finalist and first runner-up. David Weber and Faith Hunter were in this contest, and I had higher scores than they. So The Watchers at War is a first runner-up to the Palmetto Scribes. Now, what is my point to this? How long did it take me, y'all? And I didn't tell you. It took a long time. It took a long time. And my first short story ever got published, I was 24 years old. It was in 1984. Yeah, I just told you how old I am. So that's okay. I don't really care. My second short story, my second thing to ever be published was an essay in 2009. And then I had several short stories published after that. I won awards for short stories, but I was still reaching for that novel. I have an appointment tomorrow with an agent who is looking at my manuscript for my new series. So hopefully there will be more things to come. So my point here is, I've talked to so many people who say, I'm gonna quit. I've tried for 2 or 3 years and nobody's middling. And you hear people talk about, oh, J.K. Rowling was rejected 12 whole times. I was like, look at my spreadsheet. Be patient. Be willing to adjust your plan. Because, and even if you're already published, you're still gonna run into these weird little things. People are gonna tell you things. You've gotta learn when to listen to them and when to back off. You've gotta believe in yourself. That means don't listen to imposter syndrome. Anybody ever suffer from imposter syndrome in here? Okay, I'm wondering about that. I'm gonna give you a quick little acronym for imposter syndrome. IMPS. Ignore negative self-talk. Motivate yourself by getting around other writers and learning. Practice patience and share successes. Think of that anytime imposter syndrome hits you, because it will, and it's all of us. And I know Faith Hunter, I know David Weber, I know a lot of well-known authors, and they even experience imposter syndrome. So let's talk about the chair. Is Tommy in here?
No.
There he is. He's here.
Oh, yeah, it's
Come on up here. Come on up here.
Tommy B!
So another thing you have to have if you're a writer is motion, right, Tommy?
Sure.
You know what comes in? You know,
Maybe you should stand between her and that chair.
I don't know. He started it, and the Moon's not here, and Moon instigated.
Of course, it's a matter of chaos.
But see, what happened is we were doing
That's
author
instigator.
readings.
That's the one.
What was it? 3 years ago, I think we were doing
Something like that.
author readings. Might have been even in this room. I don't know. But we were
It
doing-
was.
It was in this room. Yeah, and I came in and I was sitting back there because I was up next. And I'm sitting there looking at my book, kind of reviewing what I'm going to read because I don't want to trip over my own words like I just did. And all of a sudden, Tommy's voice goes up and I hear this, and he thrown the chair. I'm like, what? And the stairs were over there. And the chair was at the top of the stairs, laid out, blocking the stairs. And I'm going, I sure hope he moves that chair, because I gotta go up there next. And he's such a sweet gentleman. Now, what was going on in that scene when you threw the chair? Do you remember?
First off, I tried to make sure that I wouldn't hit a person.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to injure anyone or get sued. And I
Yeah.
tried to make sure that the trajectory of the chair would not bounce from the wall and hit a person, because that could be awkward just as
I
easy.
didn't know you thought about all of these things.
So there was a lot of math that went into that.
Okay, okay, so, but it was something in your, was somebody throwing something in that scene? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, that was someone getting hit in the head with an axe.
Okay. It's appropriate, right?
But a chair was upended in the process.
But he was a wonderful gentleman, and as he got done, he moved the chair back where it went, and he sat back down. So it's my turn. I walk up, I come up to the table, I say, I'm not gonna throw the chair. How many of you know Dwan Hearn, also known as Moon? He's an instigator like nobody's business. And I hear from the back room, do it. Do it. Do it. And then they started chanting, throw the chair, throw the chair. And I'm looking at them, and the only thing I was thinking, because I have fibromyalgia, is can I lift the chair? You know? That's the only thing I was thinking. So I said, okay. I picked up the chair and I threw it as far as he'd thrown it. And Stephen, who had my camera to take pictures for me, did not catch it. So he wasn't present, and he kills her to this day, so I'm gonna throw a chair for you in a moment. Okay, so, but it became a thing. Last year when we did the author readings, because it's become such a thing, we all just kind of tipped some chairs. There were several of us that did it last year. The year before, I had a little miniature chair, and I caught Stephen off guard. I said, here's my chair, so, and you were like, ah! So, and I've run contests the last few years with Throw the Chair, where I've got these little miniature chairs that I hide, and I haven't hidden them yet, but there are 2. I had 4 last year, 2 never came back. So if you found it and you got it, I'd like it back. But if you find it, come find me and you get a prize. Okay, so Throw the Chair continues. But anyway, so we're gonna throw a chair. Which chair do you want to throw? You
Well,
should
Michael
throw
Mouse
this
is
chair.
sitting in
Come
that
and do
one,
this
so
one,
I'm-
big boy.
He dares you. He dares you.
Do you want to throw it, or you want me to throw it, or do we want to throw it?
We can throw it together,
Okay, where are we gonna throw it?
or I can throw it to you and you can catch it, or vice versa.
Oh, I'm not catching the chair.
I'm going to get out of the way now.
You know, like the guy who used to.
Bourbon had nothing to do with this.
Plastic.
But it should
What was his
have.
name?
It should've.
Gallagher. And,
yes.
yeah, y'all might remember. So, why don't you throw, and then I'll throw, and I guess, Michael, you might well move. Let's go that way.
Yeah, you in the danger zone.
Oh, don't let me That's how we know you're from West
Did you
Virginia.
get that? Wait a minute. Okay, so Michael, you want to throw the chair?
Oh, give me these.
I will put you in manual, ma'am. Put the song on. I'm trying to, you're not giving me a time.
Oh, we're looking for a song?
Yeah, hang on.
Hang on. I'm not gonna dive off the stage, understand you're gonna do that tomorrow, or tonight. What are we looking for? Sorry. It's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, go for it.
All right, Imaginarium 2026.
Y'all want me to throw it?
Yeah!
Rose, right there.
Be patient. Your time comes. Just not usually the way you thought it would. Thank you.
That was great. Here it is. Here's the song. Listen.
Got your throwing.
I did.